Hello and welcome to Fish TV. It's the last episode of 2016. I'm Phil Wilkes. This is Dr Duncan Walling.
Hello.
Together with the founders of 14 Fish. It's been a great year, 2016 for us. And it's been the year we launched the library, which I'm sure you've seen. It's our collection of medical education and update videos, quite a lot of which are presented by Dr Mark Coombe, who's obviously a great medical educationalist, but as we've discovered, he's also a very good chef and a very competent barman. So, Duncan, do you want to tell us about?
He, as Phil says, so you've seen the library perhaps, but if you haven't, it's worth a look. Mark is very good at sort of relaxed style, quite detailed, but has a different take on things. I've certainly found watching his videos useful. Because it's Christmas and for a bit of fun, he's done a learning video on mixing cocktails, and I found it useful. Now, not everyone drinks alcohol, of course, but all these cocktails can be made without using the alcohol, and still I surprisingly found, I mean, I'm not someone who drinks a lot or makes cocktails, but some of the stuff I completely, did you know you have to
slap them into or something?
Prepare the ice. Or
yes.
Prime the ice.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope you find it useful and a bit of fun before Christmas.
Welcome to this 14 Fish Christmas module on cocktail making. This is a very sort of controversial area to get involved in. Lots of people have very strong views about cocktail making, but we thought just for a little bit of fun for Christmas this year and into 2017 that we might introduce a little bit about the basics behind cocktail making and how to have some fun with cocktails and enhance your holiday period. So I'm going to cover the basics and then I'm going to show you how to make a couple of fabulous cocktails, and I hope you enjoy it. So the background, so why are cocktails called cocktails? It's there's lots of different stories, but by and large the one that people believe is that there was an apothecary back in the 1700s who started to use spirits in his tinctures, and these were sort of going to lift people's spirits, a bit like Rescue Remedy or something like that. And this was a Frenchman in New Orleans named Pechard, and he used to put these little tinctures in an egg cup, and the French for egg cup is coquetière, and over a period of time that became cocktails. I'm going to talk a little bit to you today about different types of cocktails, and by and large there are two types. There's layered or shaken, and the simple fact is don't shake anything with any fizz in it, otherwise you'll end up wearing it. I'm going to talk to you about the importance of a lot of ice. We're very, very conservative in England, aren't we? We put a couple of ice cubes in a gin and tonic, and this is bad. You need to put loads of ice in cocktails because ice is there to keep the drink cool and not water it down. And just like, when you make a snowman and all of the other snow around it melts, then actually when you get lots of ice together, it stays together and it keeps the drink cool rather than watering it down. Similarly, when you first put ice into a glass, you need to whiz around with a spoon or gently shake it into the glass first, just to lose all those loose fragments from the outside, and you then tip away that excess ice before you start making the cocktail. And when we do a bit of practical stuff, I'll show you how to do that. With citrus, so lots of cocktails have citrus in it, and the best part of the citrus is not the juice. The best part of the citrus is coming from the activation of the oils and so on. So when you cut a bit of citrus, you should be aiming to cut a little piece off the side, and then you're looking at squeezing the citrus to get the oils out. You might be able to see some of the oil come out, and you smell that. You should then be aiming at putting some on the stem of the glass so that when people's warm hand goes to touch the stem of the glass, then they get more aroma. Don't forget that taste is not just from the mouth. Taste is probably 80 to 90% smell. So activating the citrus, putting some around the rim, some around the stem of the glass, and that makes the drink seem much more luxurious. Herbs are quite common in a lot of cocktails, and herbs by themselves, particularly later on in the year, are a bit dry. So don't forget to spank your herbs. Spanking your herbs will make them smell and taste much better. And you do that just simply. So I've got some lavender, a little bit of mint, and some thyme. And you should just get those and give them a good whack in your hand, and you'll be able to smell how much better the herbs then smell and taste after that. What else do you need to make some cocktails? You need a cocktail shaker. This is my cocktail shaker. I was given it 25 years ago by one of my best friends. It's not a particularly classic cocktail shaker, but I really like it, and part of cocktails is having fun, and this reminds me of lots of good times. So that's what I use. If you're going to use a proper cocktail shaker, or a cocktail shaker used in most bars, you should use the classic Boston shaker, and there's a picture of it here. So it's made up of two parts. There's a glass part and a metal part. And when you are shaking cocktails with a Boston shaker, it should be at a slight angle. That then gives you a knee or an elbow or a little dent on the inside, and as the cocktail swishes backwards and forwards over that, it adds air and makes the cocktail much lighter and fresher. You also need a measurer, and in the cocktails that I'm going to do today, I'm just going to use shot glasses because it makes life a lot easier rather than talking about 30, 50, 60 mils. But a classic measurer that would be used in a bar would be made up of two parts, with a 50 ml part and a 30 ml part. And if you then wanted to use a smaller amount, so 25 mils or 15 mils, you then put the fluid into the larger bit, so let's say the 50 ml, tip it on its side so that you've just got half the cocktail measure, and that would then give you 25 in the 50 ml measuring part. You need a cocktail spoon. This is my cocktail spoon. There are loads of different types and different shapes, and the cocktail spoon has an important part of this theatre. So you've got the flat end, which is there for you to muddle your herbs and your fruit and your citrus in the bottom of the cocktail, and it's got a twirly bit down the stem, and I'll show you what that twirly bit for later, although that can and probably will be a bit of a disaster. So the classic cocktails that I'm going to show you are a new cocktail called the 14 Fisher, which we've invented in the 14 Fish lab, an espresso martini and a classic martini. So the 14 Fisher, the contents are 2 shots of gin of your choice, 1 shot of vermouth, 1 shot of cranberry, 1 shot of elderflower, 2 lime wedges and a sprig of mint, and you top this up with ginger ale. And don't forget to activate the ice and the lime, and don't forget to spank that mint. The classic martini. So lots of different types of martini. Martini is gin or vodka. If you're a Bond fan, he would have a classic martini made with vodka. So it would be 30 mils or 2 shots of gin or vodka, 1 shot of vermouth, and then enough ice to make it cold enough to hurt, that's what they say, and a lemon zest in the top of the drink. Once again, don't forget, around the stem and on the around the rim and on the stem of the drink. So other types of martini that you may have heard of are a wet martini. That just means that you equal the amount of gin with vermouth, so 2 shots of gin or vodka and 2 shots of vermouth. A dirty martini is where you put a little bit of brine and an olive, so some of the olive brine goes into it. And a filthy martini is when you actually do exactly the same as a dirty martini, but you crush up the olive. An espresso martini, your purists would say that you shouldn't call anything without gin or vodka a martini, and it shouldn't be served in a martini glass. Well, quite frankly, who cares? I think this is a great drink. It's 15 mils or a shot of cold espresso, which you can get from a coffee retailer, or you might have a machine at home, or you might have a pod machine even, which would be absolutely fine. 2 shots of coffee liqueur, so a Bailey's or something similar. 2 shots of vodka. Loads of ice, and it's actually important to get the ice in at the last minute in this cocktail. Give it a damn good shake and then pour it very quickly, and it's a lovely frothy sort of end. And if you want to look fancy, you can put a couple of coffee beans on there. Right, so let's start with the 14 Fisher, which is a new cocktail that we've invented here in the 14 Fish Lab. and it's a very straightforward layered cocktail. And so we start with 2 shots of gin. It doesn't really matter what gin you use, the better the gin, the better the cocktail. This is Silent Pool Gin, which is a local gin to us. So we're just going to pop that into the glass. A couple of shots of gin. Great stuff. Then we're going to follow it. Then we're going to follow it with our lime, white round the edge, and as I said earlier, a little bit on the stem. Squeeze the lime, give it a really good squeeze. Plenty of lime juice, absolutely brilliant. Really aromatic. And then we're going to put in a shot of elderflower, and that's just elderflower cordial. And then we're going to put in a shot of cranberry. And if you like one of these ingredients more than the other, then obviously you can put more or you can leave them out. We then want to get some ice, and we've talked about activating ice, didn't we? And so really you should get your ice, give it a little stir around, just knock any of those loose edges off, and you'll be surprised actually how much water comes off ice, which would then water down your drink. So we're going to put in lots and lots of ice. There we go. Plenty of ice. And then we're going to top it up with ginger ale, not ginger beer. Don't forget, ginger beer is fermented, and so it's quite strong. We need to give it a stir, but just a very, very brief stir around the outside just to mix the ingredients. You're not going crazy. And then finally, we're going to add some activated mint. Don't forget to slap the mint, put the mint on top, and then you're done. That's the 14 Fisher. So the classic martini, I prefer gin rather than vodka. So it's 2 shots of gin or vodka. One shot of vermouth. If you want to make it a wet martini, then you would do double. Then you want to add as much ice as it's going to hurt you when you drink it. It should be absolutely frozen. I haven't really talked about shaking because this is the first shaking cocktail. A lot of people will shake their cocktails with 2 hands over their right shoulder with the top of the cocktail shaker facing backwards, just in case you have an accident, it flies off. It's always embarrassing to kill one of your guests. So, shake it as hard as you possibly can. And then if you can get the top off. So remove the top, pour straight into a martini glass. It'll be absolutely freezing. Some people like it just like that. As I've said before, some people add an olive with a little bit of the brine, which will make it a dirty martini. If you are going to use the zest of an orange, make sure that you squeeze the oils into the top of the martini. Don't forget to rub some on the stem. As your warm hand touches the stem, then that will make even more aromas come out. Some people like to do it around the rim, drop it in and serve. So that's a classic martini. So, espresso martini with a single shot of espresso, 2 measures or 2 shots of vodka. Shot glass is about 17 mils, so not right up to the top to get your 15 mils. 2 shots of cream liqueur. I mean, I'm using Bailey's here, which is absolutely fine, or something similar. And then don't forget to activate your ice, a little bit of a squidge around. Oops. Get rid of the excessive water. There's a little bit more there. Loads and loads of ice. Now this is a cocktail that really does need a really good shake. As vigorously as possible. It does sometimes when it gets that cold, then the top's quite difficult to get off. And there we go. Should be lovely and frothy, really smooth. And that's your espresso martini. I also mentioned the use of your cocktail spoon and the fact that there's a swirly neck. Now, there's absolutely no value to what I'm about to show you, but it is quite fun. It's quite useful when you've got these little bottles of ginger ale or ginger beer, and you just use the spoon on top, and you just turn it upside down, and you'll see that the ginger ale runs straight down the spoon. It's quite a nice little bar trick. Looks absolutely great. As I say, of completely no value. It's just as easy to pour it anyway. But to finish off some of the cocktails, particularly the 14 Fisher, where I use some ginger ale at the end, you could do that then. Thanks very much. We hope you've enjoyed this introduction to cocktail making. It really is only a little bit of fun, and obviously if you don't drink alcohol or you don't like alcoholic drinks, that's absolutely fine. A lot of the cocktails you can substitute other ingredients. But we would just like to wish you an extremely happy Christmas and a very happy and prosperous 2017.
I feel like I want a cocktail now. Don't know about you.
A bit hungover. While we were watching that video, I looked up, it's actually a mixologist.
Huh?
We could perhaps describe him as someone who makes cocktails.
I think he'd approve of that.
Well, I suppose it just leaves it for us to say we hope everyone has a great Christmas and gets some well-deserved rest during the festive period. We would also like to thank the people we've been interviewing this year. So Dr Nigel Watson, Dr Richard Weaver, Dr Sian Mew, and my apologies because I said Dr Muse like an idiot last week, but it was Dr Mew. The last episode, which was fantastic. Thank you for everyone who has asked questions this year. We're very much looking forward to next year. We've got some great new ideas for Fish TV and for some other exciting things, so watch this space. But I just suspect people are watching this thinking, Phil, if they wanted to contribute to a future episode, if they wanted to ask a question perhaps, how might they do that?
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned this before either.
Well, now would be a good time.
Yeah,
I think. Stop your rapping for just a second.
So if you want us to answer a question or cover a specific topic on Fish TV, or even if you think you might like to be a guest on Fish TV, because it's becoming a bit of a theme, please get in touch. You can do that on our website, comment on the YouTube video down below, on Facebook or anything. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter @14fish, like us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, which is surprisingly good, I think. Yeah. So yeah, we hope you have a great break, and we look forward to 2017.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
I'm just doing all these songs to sort of build up just little snippets each time, and then there's going to be a cry for an album. Poo.
It was slap the mint or something.
It's great.
Yeah, ho ho ho.